So this one's recording, and then
We on?
we on.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Elite Health Services' first Facebook Live event and the inaugural episode of Elite Extra. Extraordinary life support for people who lead extraordinary lives. My name is Dr. Brad Gilden, and myself, along with my business partner Stephen Krzyzewski, are going to be here every Monday at 12:15, having some great conversations in our offices in Old Greenwich, Connecticut. You ask why we're here today? What are we going to be discussing? Well, we're going to be having healthy conversations. We're going to talk about Elite Health Services culture, and we're going to be interviewing our staff of physical therapists, trainers. We're going to bring in some really interesting patients and clients that have had great experiences with us, and we're going to be also bringing in some other special guests that are going to be talking all about health and wellness. That brings us to our very first guest, who is brave enough to come on live with us for our inaugural event. This is Master Instructor of Pilates, Corey Radke. Corey, welcome.
Hi, welcome.
So
Thank
happy
you.
you're here
Thank
today.
you so much. Thanks, everyone.
So, Corey has been practicing Pilates for how many years now?
About 18 years.
18 years.
18 years.
I've been practicing 18
Yeah.
years as well.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. So Pilates has been such an incredible experience for me personally, but so many of my patients have had such incredible results from the method.
Yes.
So I'd like to take it back a little bit and
Okay.
talk about the name Pilates and who is this Joe Pilates person? Where does it come from?
Okay, well, so I'd love to talk about Joseph Pilates, because if you just read a little bit about him, he's just such an interesting human being, and I wish I had known him myself, and the people that are old enough to have known him just have the most amazing little stories about him. So
one quick little tidbit.
Yeah.
My father, who is 85 years old,
my
is a
gosh.
chiropractor. He worked with Joseph Pilates in the late 50s,
That's
early
incredible.
60s.
Like this. Can I please talk to your
Yeah,
dad?
absolutely.
I'd really like to talk to him. So he was born in, he was born in 1883. So just a completely different era of what our society looked like as far as health and fitness, right? So he was, his dad was of Greek descent, and apparently, from what I understand, at the time, a very well-known gymnast who was actually Greek. And his mom was a naturopath. So that combination, I think, really started him off on that path of health and wellness, but he was also, as a child, known to be very sickly. He had asthma, a number of diseases, and so he was kind of this scrawny kid and was bullied and traumatized by his peers and the older kids as well. And so how he dealt with that was diving into fitness, trying to become healthier, and he's really mostly self-educated. He taught himself bodybuilding, he investigated yoga, martial arts, he even did some acrobats and boxing, and he was actually well known for having this well-balanced body physique that he was used as a model for people who were drawing anatomy books of the time, right? Those first anatomy books in Germany, he was actually used as a model for the muscles, which I find kind of amazing. So all of those things just led him to the thought of the mind-body balance that we sort of ascribe to now today, that mind, body, physical, those things that you look for, the mind, body, spiritual balance that keeps us balanced in this healthy lifestyle. And he, so just to move forward from that, he was working in London. I think he was an acrobat and a boxer, teaching martial arts, and I believe, if it's true what I read, he even taught defense to Scotland Yard.
Oh, wow. What didn't he do?
Yeah, exactly. And that's,
He actually invented the iPhone.
That's that's a really good question. What didn't he do? Because he really did everything. And he was in London at the time of World War I and was put in an internment camp on the Isle of Man. And it was there that he started to develop the Pilates method as we know it, working with, the conditions weren't great in those internment camps. Mm-hmm. And there were some people that were sort of bedridden, and he was determined that he was going to help as many people as he can survive that experience. And so he started developing, with his knowledge that he had, the Pilates method, and he would have daily classes just to keep people healthy. And the people that couldn't really get out of bed, he started to develop the spring system that slowly evolved to him designing his own equipment, the equipment that we know today as the Cadillac, the Universal Reformer, the chair.
So it was really hospital-based equipment.
Hospital-based equipment, yes, exactly.
Wow.
And then him and a lot of those people survived the internment camp. He went back to Germany to his roots, where he started to develop his system even more. And it was there, in 1932, he was approached by the German military. They wanted him to train the German military troops. And at that point, he said either he had to do that or leave the country. So he left the country. He took a boat to the United States, landed in New York, and that is where he stayed from 1932 until 1968, I believe, is when he died. So he was 80. He lived to 84 years old. And New York, he developed the Pilates method. He designed and built his own equipment. He developed a relationship with George Valentine, with the New York City Ballet. That's where the whole dancer training came in.
Got it.
But
it's huge amongst dancers.
Huge amongst dancers, but it's not. It was originally designed for men and women, just a way to universally develop your body.
Well, if you look at all the things that he was into, from the martial arts to yoga, that it really seems to integrate. And we'll talk about this later.
Right.
But just whatever it is that you're doing actively, it sounds like it has a great place to get you ready to be able to perform.
Exactly. I think Pilates is, someone had said to me, Pilates is like the ballet of dance. Ballet is your technique. It's where everything derives from. You have to have good technique to be able to really be good at the other forms of dance. Well, Pilates for me is, if you can learn how to exercise in the proper alignment, learn how to be balanced with all of your muscles, then that allows you to be great at gymnastics, at tennis, at running, at whatever sport is your passion, is your love. If you can be good at Pilates, you will be much better at whatever other sports that you want to be active in.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So going back to technique, I know there's a lot of different instructors out there and schools, methodologies. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. And even in the Pilates industry, there's some controversy as far as which school is better, which way school of thought is better. And I come from the school of all of it is really good. And what's really important is that it's a comprehensive training program, that you come from a place of knowing the anatomy. Because if you don't know why you're teaching certain exercises, the client isn't going to get as much out of it as they really could. Now, that's not to say that, if you're in a class and you're doing an exercise routine, that you're not going to get something out of it. Like, you can. But I think if you don't understand the reasoning behind it, and you have to know anatomy to understand that, then as a teacher, as an instructor, you're not going to be as effective. So I come from that school, and that could be classical, it could be contemporary. To me, it doesn't matter as long as you are really thoughtful, know your client, and you understand the process. And that takes time. It takes
now,
a
how
lot
much
of
are
time.
you changing up between clients? Are you running them through the same program, or are you modifying it based on who's in front of you?
Well, sure. I certainly have first I have to see the client. So that's number one. Always teach the client in front of you. Know their background. That's just the most important thing. Know injuries, background, and then you know, the more you teach, the more you can see the discrepancies in their body. They've been compensating one way or the other. But I will say that I love to get a client to a certain level where we're all doing the same exercises, but that doesn't mean we can all start there. So we may all be starting at a different level, but the goal is to get them to an intermediate place where everyone is doing the same thing. It may not look the same, but we're all sort of doing the same strong core exercises.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's a lot of people that will do mat Pilates versus working on the reformer, and
Yeah.
Cadillac, and
Yeah.
so how do you balance, and what are the differences between if someone's just doing mat versus someone who's just doing, or do you always have a combination between the two? How is that?
That's a really good question. And some of it is economical too, just because mat classes are more economical.
You could fit more people.
You can
in a
fit more
class.
people. I can instruct more people. I can get the message to more people through that modality. However, I will say I love a practice of both. The machines get you to a different level than the mat. First of all, they support you. So if you're coming from injury or say a place of chronic back pain, you can't just start in a mat class because it won't work on your body. You won't be able to do those exercises, and then that gets frustrating, or you might just feel worse. So you've got to know where you're coming from. Certainly we can modify the mat exercises, but it just depends on, you know, your injury that you're recovering from. So I love to start people on the apparatus and then move them to the mat exercises.
Got it.
That's my ideal, but you know, life isn't always ideal. So I will start people on mat classes at a very modified level and then work their way up as well. If that's what they can do, that's where I will start them. What the apparatus does so brilliantly is it helps slowly rehabilitate you if you need that. But once you get to a certain level, it then becomes so much more challenging, which you can probably speak from your own practice,
Well, yeah.
right? So it can meet you at your level, but then it can really challenge you way more than the mat exercises can do. So it's much broader based as far as what you can achieve with your body.
So it can be resistive, but also assistive
Yeah.
in the beginning,
Exactly.
and then as you
Yes, exactly. And
Progress.
those springs, the spring tension, it can be supportive and then super challenging at the same time. You'll be doing things that you never thought that your body could accomplish with the apparatus.
Well, it's a great exploration of your own body.
It
That's
is.
something that I really experienced, was feeling different things and identifying weaknesses that I never knew existed in my body. And once they were identified by
Right.
you, then I was able to kind of go to that next level from a performance standpoint
Right.
in my sports.
Right.
And so that was a really fun
Right.
part of it. So can you talk a little bit about kind of Elite Health Services, Elite Pilates, and how things that we do here might be a little bit different from, you know, if you just go to a studio somewhere
Sure.
else.
So there are definitely Pilates studios out there that are fitness based. You go, you get your workout, and you leave, and it feels really good. And at Elite, I just think what we do is take it to the next level of really studying the alignment. Everybody looks different, as you know, as being a physical therapist. Everybody looks a little different. So what we try to do here is teach everyone about proper alignment so that what they learn here, they can take it outside into their regular lives and kind of understand how the shoulder girdle sits on top of the rib cage, but everyone is slightly different, so it's sort of a unique analysis for each individual. And then also, I work directly with each physical therapist with their clients, so they can tell me, Corey, this is what we're working on. You know, that low core seems to me to be really weak, and this is how I tested it, and this is what Pilates exercises do you know that can help assist me in what I'm trying to achieve? And so there's this dynamic of teamwork that our clients get when they come here. And I can't tell you how many times a client has said to me, I'm so grateful you were able to talk to Matt or Tiffany or Tara or Brad, and then come in here with that knowledge of what's happening in my body, and then apply it to the Pilates exercises and really work on, because the people that come into Elite usually are here for a reason. They're in pain. Sometimes it's just chronic back pain. Sometimes it's multiple injuries over time that has caused some really serious imbalances in the body, and then we're all able to address it together. And I think that's what we offer that's unique. Would you?
I love
you
that
say that
integrative approach that we've
integrative medicine, exactly.
It's huge, and so many of our patients, clients have benefited from it, and you've been able to identify certain things in clients that have come through Pilates that might have needed physical therapy
Exactly.
to clear something up so that their Pilates performance could improve. And that is just, it's really the perfect dynamic.
And with the trainers too. I don't want to leave out our functional trainers, because sometimes I have a trainer that sends a client to me specifically for specific reasons so that we can work on those things together, or vice versa.
So you touched on, in the beginning, talking about Joseph Pilates, how he integrates the body with the mind. And I just wanted to explore that a little bit further. How do you integrate that with Pilates? Because it's so important to have the two connected, yet in so many cases, people are just not aware of their body positioning, of their breath, and what's happening. Their mind is going 100 times faster than their body.
So many times I'll start just with the breath. Just with the breath. How is someone breathing? Are they inhaling fully, and are they exhaling and really aspirating all of the air? Because many times I notice people just kind of exhale partly. They're not even getting a full exhale, and so therefore that causes a problem in the core. Your core isn't going to function to its highest level if you're not breathing. And
it doesn't calm down their autonomics when they're not exhaling as well, so they remain
right. So you can
really
definitely speak to that better than I could, but that's a part of the whole mind-body and spiritual connection, because you don't really know what's happening. You don't really know you're getting that until you're done with the hour and you walk out and you feel like you've been cleansed. So the focus that is required on doing the exercises is what the meditative aspect of Pilates is. It's not a meditation where you're trying to clear your mind, which is also obviously very healthy. The Pilates meditation is the focus required, the things you have to think about, and you have to be aware of your breath. So when you're in your Pilates hour, not thinking about your to-do list and all the other things that you have and all the problems that are in your life. You're actually kind of releasing that. And so to me, that's the spiritual aspect of it. It doesn't have to be, godlike spiritual, but it is that way to just release and focus on your body.
On yourself.
On yourself.
And many people don't get that opportunity.
They don't take the time to do that. And, even myself, I try to work that in. It's hard in our busy lives. So I think that's that meditative aspect. And you don't know what's happening. It sneaks up on you. And that, when I first started learning Pilates, no one told me what it was. Nobody told me what I was going to feel. And it was just the process of, I was like, oh, wow,
it's almost better for you to explore.
I feel so much better. Why do I feel so much better? If you kind of explore why, then you go back and you realize.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I've had a large number of women that are either postpartum that have experienced difficulties in a lot of different variety of areas that have really benefited significantly from working with you and the Pilates team here at Elite. Can you kind of explain some of the reasoning behind why some of the pelvic floor work within Pilates has been so supportive of women that are pregnant or even
Sure.
post-pregnancy?
Sure. I love working with pregnant women as well as postpartum, because it's such a great way to heal your body after that process. You know, our organs get squished when we're pregnant. There's more pressure on the pelvic floor. Sometimes, that separation of our right and left sides of our abdominals sort of split and open up, which is called a diastasis. Exactly. It happens to some women. It doesn't happen to everyone. So how I deal with pregnant women is obviously there's a lot of modifications in the work, because you don't want to put too much pressure on the rectus, the abdominis rectus muscle. You want to try to leave that alone and work the deeper muscles. But you actually can do some abdominal work all the way through pregnancy to keep you stronger, so that when you do give birth, whether it's by C-section or natural childbirth, you actually are stronger afterwards. And I have personal experience with that, because my first baby, I had never done Pilates. I was fit because I went to the gym, but I wasn't doing Pilates. And interestingly enough, I was in a lot of pain after my first child was born, and that was in the year 2000. A lot of pain, back pain, shoulder pain, and abdominal pain, because I had a C-section. And it was after that I decided to start Pilates. So second child, 3.5 years later, I literally, same type of birth, C-section, I'm not kidding, I had no pain, and I was even older. I was 39 years old when my second child was born, and I literally had no pain. I felt like it was a miracle.
Yep.
And I felt
It's a
like
great case study right there.
Spoke to how strong Pilates is, because I did Pilates for a good 3 solid years in between those two births. And it really spoke to how powerful it can be. And I think it's because of how it affects our deep internal core muscles. And we're talking pelvic floor, the deeper abdominal muscles, even the muscles along our spine that we don't think about, that we don't train when we're just doing a traditional training. And so we can get those strong while you're pregnant, so that you have an amazing experience. And then after that experience, it helps your body recover a lot faster by drawing in, just by that exercises and just by specific cueing of how to work the abdominals, so that you're not emphasizing that diastasis, you're actually drawing it in. Right. And then paying attention to the way someone is working, because you don't want to put someone into a mat class and have them be working improperly, because that will hurt them even more. So you've got to pay attention to how someone is working, so that you can address their issues. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's great. And then just time frame after delivery, how soon have you typically seen women start up with a Pilates program after delivery?
I always like to go by a doctor recommendation.
Yeah.
Usually, if it's natural childbirth and the doctor says okay, depends on how traumatic the birth was, but 6 weeks.
Okay.
6 weeks. Even after C-section, I would say when your incision is healed, you can start again. But I go by a doctor recommendation, and that's probably going to be a little longer than 6 weeks. I will say I cheated a little bit. But
you had that
you can
experience
start
and
on the
knowledge
real
before.
basics of breathing technique and doing very modified exercises early, but you just have to be under the watchful eye of someone who knows.
Right.
But doctor recommended, and then you can go for it.
Okay, sounds good. So I have one last question for you. And this really pertains to the guys that are out there.
Awesome.
Because I think stereotypically, a lot of people think Pilates is just for women. And I can speak personally for what I went through as a triathlete and a runner, the impact that it had on me and my ability to feel things and be healthier and actually improve my performance.
Yeah.
So I just wanted you to touch on Pilates for men
Sure.
and what your experience has been working with
Right.
some of the guys that are out there who
Yeah.
like, really hard
Yeah.
workouts and cardio and lifting weights in the gym.
Mhm.
What can Pilates provide for the guys like
Right.
myself out there?
Right. So, first of all, I love working with both men and women. Again, you have to look at the body in front of you, so it doesn't really matter if you're male or female. You
Mhm.
look at the imbalances that the person has, and you just try to address that. The thing about working with men is you've got to give them a little bit of what they want, and then give them also what they need.
Mhm.
So what's not, and women want this too, by the way. I have women that come in here that are triathletes and just want to work hard and sweat, and believe me, we will do that. But you also have to learn proper alignment, and sometimes you have to step back to do some simpler exercises so that you understand, wide through the shoulders but letting the ribs be dropped, and how do you draw in your core. You have to step back a little bit to understand that, and then you can still do those really challenging exercises. But I think what Pilates does, and what the comment that I've heard most from men is, wow, this is what I hear after doing a session, is, wow, I didn't know I had those muscles.
Mhm.
They usually feel muscles that they didn't feel in their traditional workouts.
Right.
Wow, I feel that so differently. They may feel their muscles all over, but they're working the smaller muscles in addition to the larger group muscles. So really working the core universally, and not just the six-pack muscles. And same with like your back, your middle back muscles, that you're not used to working. We're going to hit those, and it's going to feel amazing. And again, that'll just enhance whatever other training you're doing.
Right. That's awesome.
By the way, there are basketball players doing it. I've seen pictures of Michael Jordan on the Reformer,
Okay.
no joke. Football players, and I've seen them doing some of those really challenging, like plank-like exercises on the Reformer, and that require full body. So again, when you're doing Pilates exercises, you're using your whole body. You are never just isolating muscles, and that's what gives you that strength that maybe you're not going to get from the traditional training.
Love it. Well, one of the points that you made with correcting alignment first, Gray Cook is a physical therapist who says if you strengthen on dysfunction, you end up with strong dysfunction.
Right.
And so you need to correct that dysfunction and learn kind of baby steps
Yeah.
to get that alignment properly.
Yeah.
And then once you start functioning properly,
Yeah.
there's no limit
Yeah.
to your functional
And
improvements.
that's what I love. That's what I love to do.
Well, your
I know,
passion
I
is
get
clear.
So I get very fulfilled. I can really cry. But when someone ends a session and they just have that look on their face, like, wow, I didn't know this was possible. Or if I show an exercise, this is what you're going to be doing, and then they're like, oh, I can never do that, and then all of a sudden they're doing it. That feeling of accomplishment that I see them have is just the best.
So I just want one sentence.
I don't know if I could do one sentence.
When I complete a Pilates session, what should
Yeah.
I feel?
What should you feel?
What should I feel?
Okay, you should feel like you've worked your whole body from head to toe. And you should also you should feel like you've increased your energy as you're walking out the door. You might feel tired, but you should also feel clear-headed and energized. If you
Awesome.
feel like so exhausted, then maybe, maybe
It's too challenging.
maybe it's a little too challenging,
Yeah.
but I like to give you a really good challenge. I want you sweating, I want you working hard, but I also want you feeling, like you're energized for the rest of your day.
Right. Awesome. And safe.
And safe,
Yeah.
always safe here at Elite.
Well, you made my job really easy as a host. I mean, you were an awesome first interview. I'll
you.
interview you every week
Oh, thank
because
you.
this was so enjoyable, and I
Well,
learned so much.
I have personally gained so much from doing Pilates in my life. Like, it has completely turned my life, my body around. So love teaching it for that very reason.
It's
I've
very
seen
apparent.
the benefits not only my body but many others, and so it's just awesome. And I love it here.
Awesome. Well, we love having you here. And so just wanted to thank all of you for tuning in to our first Facebook Live, Elite Extra, extraordinary life support for people who lead extraordinary lives. So if you enjoyed today's show, please be sure to leave some comments on our Facebook page. Let us know how we did. And don't forget to join us next week, 12:15, Monday, same time, same station, where we're going to be talking golf with Joe Banye,
Awesome.
amazing trainer.
Awesome.
He's going to talk about training men and workout myths that you should not miss.
Sounds
And that's
good.
a wrap.